Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame and Cinnamon Sugar, and this is going to be a thoughts post. For those of y'all who are new here, welcome to my channel. Thank you for dropping by. I don't know why the algorithm found you or allowed you to find me, but hopefully it'll be a pleasant experience for you, or at least a little interesting, and you'll want to stay around for a little while longer after this video. But yeah, a thoughts post usually is where I post a video where I am discussing how I feel and basically my thoughts on a random TV show, movies, entertainment news, celebrity news, just anything that might be going on in the world or in my neck of the woods where I'm living right now or back home where I'm from, which is Montgomery, Alabama. It just depends on what's going on. Today, the topic of discussion is Jacky O, or Jacqueline Smith, which is her government name. Jacky O is someone whom I ran across randomly years ago. Now, I knew of her children's father, DC Young Fly, way before her. And it was because he was always online roasting people. And in all honesty, I mean, I never thought he would get and gain the notoriety and the fame and all the stuff that he has now, the celebrity, all of that. And it's not a dig. It's just, if y'all saw him where he started, you would have just probably thought he was just somebody that was go back and forth with people online all the time, and that was it. Because he stayed roasting certain people more than others, and it was just that would just be it. They would go off on each other. That was the end of it. Wasn't seeing him on TV shows. He wasn't doing comedy specials and all this other stuff like that's what's going on now. So that's why I felt the way that I felt back then. So when I saw him elevate in a sense and start to do so much more, I was pleasantly surprised when it came to certain things because I think he did a role on American. Oh my gosh, what is it called? American Soul, which is a TV show where they were talking about Don Cornelius and a lot of different music acts and some of the behind the scenes things that happened while, dealing with Soul Train as a whole. Oh my gosh, he blew that role out of the water. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. I don't know, I can't think of that man's name, but he did. He was on there for that role. He's done other roles since, but yeah, I was blown away. So, of course, he does have depth. He can not only just be comedic, he can actually bring some seriousness when he needs to. For those of y'all who have been following him, despite how crass, if you will, or, very, very vulgar and all the other stuff that he can be, he grew up in a household surrounded by people who were always about faith and they were always talking about God and all of that. And so I've always noticed that a lot of people who are in the streets, live that street life, they usually were instilled, with Christianity or some form of religion and having some sort of a background like that with spirituality, right? And he just so happens to be one of those people. And so when he experiences things like this, he leans heavily on that. Now, there are people who heavily criticize whether or not that's true, meaning if he's really into religion, if he really is a Christian and all that other stuff. I'm not sure. It is what it is. But, that's going to be between him and God. So, yeah, y'all. But anyway, so when I heard the news that she had passed away, first of all, I had to verify as to whether or not that was even true because I was just like, okay, now, what you talking about? Like, I'm not gonna believe y'all because this got to a point where there are people that I heavily follow their careers and every couple of months or every couple of years they come up and say these people have passed away and they have not. I think Jackie Chan is one of those people. Like I'm just saying, I'm just naming off certain random people. He's one person that they have tried to make it seem as though he's passed away. I don't know how many times. Um, yeah, there are several people, and I've just been like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? And I just realized it just so happened his name and her name. So yeah, y'all. I needed to verify first whether or not this was true. Then, when I found out that it was true, I'm like, well, what in the world happened? So, there were all sorts of reports saying that she'd had a mommy makeover, and when she went to go and recover, so to speak, she was at a hotel. And I was confused, and I'm like, okay, why is she at a hotel? And even if she was at a hotel, why is she at this hotel by herself? I'm confused about that. Because if any of y'all have ever seen her on, her channel, you would know that she's always with someone, whether it's just one-on-one with DC Young Fly, one-on-one with their daughter Nova, one-on-one with one of her friends, or there is usually a group of people around her, whether she's around his family, her family, whomever. There are usually people around her, at least one person every time I've ever seen her. Even if she was at the house recording content, Nova or somebody was in a whole other room and would kind of come and, interrupt her. She would have to start the video. Like, I'm just saying, there's always somebody there. So I found that to be very suspicious that somehow this was the one time she was by herself. Now, was there something that ever came out that said that, she was by herself? Meaning somebody left out to go get something to eat, and then when they came back, she had passed away, or she was unresponsive and she needed medical services, and then that's how 911 got involved. Because how it seemed as though they're trying to make it seem like hotel staff found her. Why? I'm not understanding how she was by herself. This is the one instance that all of a sudden, after all these years, now she's been by herself. That was very strange to me. I know that a lot of y'all might have been hearing some of the conspiracy theories, or whatever you might want to assume that they are, that this was a sacrifice. I have no idea, but that is definitely something that people have thrown out there because of DC Young Fly's rise to fame and stardom and all of that. And it's a lot. It is a lot. I cannot begin to imagine how her children must feel, her family and friends and loved ones, because this is too much. So today, which was the only reason why I even decided to do this video, for some reason the algorithm kept throwing me videos from the funeral. And all week I had been seeing the programs that they put out there letting everybody know where the funeral was going to be and when the viewing of the body was going to be and all of that. So I knew that the funeral was definitely on yesterday. And I was like, okay. But, of course, initially when all that news broke, I'm just sitting there like, wow, what is really going on? Why was nobody with her? And why is it that she keeps feeling the need to get these surgeries? Everybody and their mama keeps explaining, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Why is she doing this? She's an influencer. So stuff like this it has become the norm, which is sad, despite the fact that she was gorgeous. But this was her third child. And, usually, well, at least in a lot of cases, the older you get, the harder it becomes for you to get your body back or for it to bounce back as quickly. So even though their child, their most recent child, had been here for quite some time, I don't think it had been quite a year yet. And if it has, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is. But they're saying that when the surgery happened, she did not die on the table, but she died in the hotel room from heart complications that still kind of were, related to the fact that she had surgery, and her body probably just could not take all of what was going on. There are certain medications, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that you're supposed to be taking to help you, the anesthesia, all this other stuff that was going on, the medications that had been pumped into her to help with the pain, because she had been in excruciating pain from what we had been told. So she had abnormal amounts of pain meds in her system, and she was already battling a heart condition, or at least that's what we were told. So allegedly she had a heart condition going on as well. So I don't know. But anyway, what I do know is when I saw the video today of the dove releasing ceremony that they held for her after the funeral was over with. First of all, let me start with this. So I did see DC Young Fly's speech, and there are a lot of people saying that on one hand, this is beautiful. Other people are saying this was terrible. This was all about him. He was making this all about him because he was talking about he was, she knew that he wanted to have more kids. He was trying to have like 7 more babies and all this other stuff, and people were laughing. People were like, "Wait, is this a comedy special or is this a funeral? Like, and why is this all about him?" For me, I get all sides, but when it comes to people saying that this is selfish and he's making it all about him, I feel like if this is genuine concern and grieving, what I meant to say, if this is genuinely him grieving and all that, people grieve differently, and I've seen people do like this. For any of y'all who have been following DC Young Fly like I have, like I said, for a very long time, he's always talked about all the people that he has lost. Death was a constant for him in his life. He had gotten so used to death that it was almost like, oh, okay, man, that's messed up. Yeah, they died. And I mean, it's not like he didn't care, but it was just so normal, especially given the fact where he grew up. Like, it was just, you gonna go to jail, you gonna die. One of the two, it just seemed like that's what your path was destined to be. One of those two, which is sad for people to think that way, but I mean, they do the most in Atlanta. They really do. So it doesn't surprise me that he had that mindset. And it's just amazing that he was able to somewhat get out, if you will. But yeah, y'all. So I did see that. I don't know if essentially that was considered the eulogy, but he spoke for quite some time. And he was talking about his faith. He was telling people consistently that they need to get God in their life and get right with God and get their minds focused and, read the book, meaning the Bible, and all these other things. And so to me, the speech seemed fine. I didn't have an issue with the speech. The only thing that I have ever had an issue with as it pertains to their relationship was any videos that have surfaced where it showed that they were at odds with one another. Because I know that couples can have their ups and downs, but it came across very strongly that he had moments where he would take digs at her, and it was to the point where you didn't know if it was a joke or if he was being serious, but it seemed as though she would kind of brush it off like, forget you, John, or whatever, and all of that. Talking about DC Young Fly. And like now, in the wake of her death, all these videos have resurfaced because I have seen clips of that before, and I've just said to myself, well, essentially, she want to stay with him. It is what it is. And also another thing that's controversial, that at least people are making controversial, is the fact that they are not married. When everything first came out, they kept saying that his wife. I was like, they're not married, because I knew for a fact they weren't married because he has vocalized on numerous occasions that he does not have any intentions of getting married. Now, will this change after his healing and grieving process is over with at some point in time? I have no idea. But him and Chico Bean and also Carlos Miller, who are all 85 South show group members, they all said they are not getting married. They have been saying this. They have all been vocal about this for years. So there are people who have been going on rants about, how dare you? You done sat up here and impregnated her. Like this one guy, oh my gosh, I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but this one guy got on a podcast and said, how dare you sit up there and impregnate her 3 times? That woman was gorgeous. You impregnated her 3 times, didn't put a ring on it. You don't love them kids. You ain't never loved her. You don't love. I was like, no, not you talking about he don't love the kids. Now, I've seen his interactions with his children. He seems like he goes above and beyond for them and definitely loves them. So that's why I was confused why he brought them into question. But something else that concerned me is that there was speculation going on that they were no longer together and that she had her own home. So they were like, well, if they were together, then why does she feel the need to go and buy her own house? They ain't together no more and all this other stuff. And I was just like, Lord, I don't know. I don't know if they had broken up. I have no idea. I hadn't heard anything about it until after, yet again, after she passed away. So yeah, there's speculation that they weren't even together and they were on bad terms, and it just is what it is. She was the custodial parent in a sense because she always had the kids more than him because he was always traveling. He was in the middle of filming, I think Wild 'N Out or something when this even went down. Then a lot of people are like, "How you sat up there and let her do this? How you let her sit up there and have surgery knowing she got your kids? She has kids by you, and she's the main one who raises the kids." And I'm saying to myself, I mean, I hear y'all, but at the same time, she was 32 years old. He can't tell her what to do. I mean, now there are some people who are like, no, I can tell. My man can tell me what to do, and I'm gonna do what he tell me to do. And yeah, I mean, technically, I mean, of course, the way that I was raised in the church, and if your husband, you know, makes the final say so about something, then that's the way it's gonna go 99% of the time. But essentially, like in the household I lived in, my parents discussed things together. And then they went by how that discussion went as to what the final decision would be. It wasn't no, my daddy said this ain't gonna go. My mom wanted to do something, and my daddy said no, it ain't gonna happen, and that was the end of it. And so it didn't happen. It didn't go down like that. They are a partnership. They talked to one another. They discussed things thoroughly, and then they went about it in that way. Now with her, he probably was like, okay, whatever you want to do, that's up to you. He said, if I'm not mistaken, he said he prayed with her, prayed over her, and all this other stuff, and went on by his business working. Because if I'm not mistaken, this is not her first time going under the knife since they've been together. And it's not an excuse, but this is what she was doing for her job. She had to keep her looks in check. Now, the doctor who performed her surgery, Dr. Zach, he had terrible reviews. Now, I understand that this is surgery, but when it comes to anything that I am going to pay for or whatever, which I think he was doing this pro bono or for a deep discount or whatever, but if it's something that I'm going to get, I look at the reviews. Again, yes, I'm aware that this was surgery, but yeah, there were reviews out there. This man had 2 stars out of 5 stars, which is not great at all. I don't condone getting surgery for mommy makeovers and all that stuff. I don't. And I know this is probably going to be controversial for some of y'all, but it is what it is. I don't condone it, but hey, do what you want to do. Just always be aware that there are going to be risks when it comes to stuff like that. There are always going to be risks. No matter how great of shape you're in, anything can happen on that operating table. And that is one of the reasons why there's something going on in my personal life with my mom. And I think that's why she's been hesitant to go under the knife, because she might not get up off that table alive. So it is what it is, because we're factoring in her age, her size. It's just so many, her health condition. It's just so, there are so many things going on that, I mean, it's just a 50-50 chance. And then what she's going in for, it might not even fix the issue. So it is what it is. But yeah, a lot of people do stuff like this just because. A lot of people are speculating that she went under the knife to please him because of all the things that we have been seeing in these clips that have again surfaced, where they were on live together, or she would be on live and she would add him to the live and he would say stuff, or he'd be in another room and he would say stuff, or they would be in the room together and he would say stuff to her. And again, like I said, she would brush it off. But for a lot of people, that is a defense mechanism. I don't know if she was truly bothered by any of the things he ever said to her, but she would always brush it off and ignore what he was saying, at least for us to see. I don't know if this was something that was hurting her internally, but yeah, words do hurt, and they can hurt. Even though people say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yes, they do. Take it from somebody who has been called fat before I actually even got fat. I was not even fat. Like, that's what's crazy. I wasn't even fat before people called me fat. I was the size that everybody dream of being without having to get surgery. And no, again, that's not shade. I'm just saying. I always had a pear-shaped body. I have big booty, hips and thighs. I'm pear-shaped. So I was always the size that people, and I had a small waist, no stomach at the time, all that stuff. But now I'm fat. I'm working on that. That's not what this is about. But I'm just saying that it's just a situation where you never know. And again, words do hurt. I internalized all that stuff, and I just felt like I could never be myself by being the type of person that I want to be. I wanted to be able to be out there and be like, hey, how y'all doing? And all that, like, or whatever. But I never felt confident because of the things that people were saying about me. And it was crazy. So yeah, y'all. Bullying is real. And bullying can definitely happen and come from your actual partner. So again, I don't know if that was real bullying that was happening where he was, talking sideways to her within their relationship, or if it was jokes or whatever, and she was just pushing it off and brushing it off as if, man, forget him. As her defense mechanism, I have no idea. But anyway, to end this video, I want to just say that what I was saying earlier, which was at the end of the funeral, when everybody went outside, there was a dove releasing ceremony. And DC was like, where's Nova? She was in the van and all that. And he was like, I want her to be a part of this. And everybody had their doves in their hand. They were going to release the doves and all of that. And so somebody went to retrieve Nova, and you could tell she was not here for it. She was not here for nothing. And because she is of age where she understands some or most of what's happening, you could just tell she was just not here for it. I couldn't take even looking at her. It was just so sad to see her in that state because her mama is gone. She went up there with her daddy and her siblings to view her mama's body. DC stood at the casket for a little while, and he eventually picked Nova up and all of that. It was too much. And to see the look on her face, I was just like, oh my gosh. And when I tell y'all, until I saw Nova react, I hadn't reacted to anything surrounding this situation until that moment. And I really feel heartbroken and sad for the children. It is really, really sad. But yeah, the dove releasing ceremony happened, and she didn't want any parts of it, so they just made her stand there. They released the doves, and she immediately went on back to where she was. She couldn't get through the crowd fast enough to get back to the van to get away from everybody. So I hope that she will be able to be put into therapy because she is definitely going to need it. You could tell she is not okay. You can tell that she is not okay. The other children are not aware of what's going on, obviously. The middle child was asleep a lot of the time, and the youngest one, of course, like they don't know what's going on. So it was just a lot. They had a beautiful carriage that had her casket in it that you could see through it. It was very beautiful. So they sent her off the right way. And that's all I can really say about it, y'all. But, all in all, I'm not here for these BBLs and mommy makeovers and all that stuff. I feel like most people do not need that stuff. As for me, I will be doing things the natural way because with my situation, I'm just fat. And I'm going to lose the weight and do what I need to do naturally. And it is what it is. But anyway, thank y'all for tuning in. I hope y'all have an amazing weekend. Bye-bye.